Hi there, my name is Seth, and today I'm going to be talking about how to turn a photograph into a believable watercolor painting, similar to the one you see here. We're going to be working in Photoshop, and this is a relatively simple process, but there are a number of steps, so hopefully this video is helpful for you. So this is our original photo. This is just taken with an old iPhone 7, so the cool thing about this process is it doesn't need to be super fancy to start. We're just going to duplicate this layer. I'll call this watercolor. And this is the layer we're going to be applying the initial watercolor effect to. So here under Filters, Filter Gallery, you'll see the built-in Photoshop watercolor effect. So you want to bring down the shadow intensity, texture, pretty much all the way down, and brush detail as well. Alright, so now we're going to duplicate the original layer, not the watercolor layer. And we're going to create an outline. We're going to bring this to the front, and we are going to go to Filter, and Stylize, and Find Edges. So this is going to create this really cool outline, but we want this outline to be black and white. So we're going to go up here to Image, Adjustment, Desaturate. So now we've got a really cool black and white outline of our image. We're going to multiply that in blend mode. So now you can see we've got that. Looks like a watercolor. It's just a black outline here. So, all right, now that we've got our outline, the next thing we're going to do is add a bit of a watercolor texture, because when you paint, it's not all even. So what we're going to do here is we're going to select a couple of primary highlight colors. So I'm going to select this kind of yellowish color for the sunset, and then I'll go with maybe a little bit of light blue here. You don't want it to be too dark, that's a little bit gray, so yeah, we'll go with this bluish color. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be rendering some cloud effects on top of this. There we go. So we've got our clouds, and we're going to change the blend mode here to soft light. And you can see how that just kind of creates this texture that looks more like a watercolor. If you want, you can blur these clouds a little bit if they're too clear for you. So we're just going to add a little bit of a blur effect here. That should be good, just so you can't make out the rendered clouds quite as easily. Alright, so here comes the exciting bit. So we're going to create a new file here. Just make it, I don't know, 1600 by 1000 is good. And we're going to create a watercolor brush, because we're actually going to paint on our image. So I'm going to render some clouds here, but actually they need to be black and white. That's important. So change the colors up here. And we'll render some black and white clouds. And then we're going to create a brush using this cloud texture. So use the marquee tool, select just like that. And then we don't want it to be a hard edge, we want to feather it. So we're going to modify this selection here, feather, and around 90-ish should be good. Okay, and now we're going to save this as a brush. We'll call this cloud. So now we've got this really cool cloud-shaped brush that's really soft that we can work with. So we're going to create a new layer, and we're going to put it on the bottom, and it's just going to be a completely white layer. You can make this whatever color you want. I'm going to do white, and you'll see how this works. So we're going to group our layers, not including the white layer that we just created on the bottom. And then we want to create a mask. So we're actually going to Alt or Option click the mask tool here while that group is selected. And this is where you see the white background that I selected comes into play. So if it was another color, this would be whatever color you selected there. We're going to select our cloud brush. And one thing to note is my brush opacity, it's down to about 30%, so that's important. And if you now click on the group that you created and paint, you can see that it will slowly start to reveal that image behind it. So I'm just going to quickly paint out a rough shape here. And that's that. So just a few minutes later, we have our watercolor all ready to go. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Thanks.